right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. A reminder, by the way, tomorrow on the show, Ron Futrell will be joining us in studio. It's Ron Futrell Day from Channel 8, as he always joins us on Tuesdays. And Thursday, you want to join us at Rodizio Grill at 1300 West Sunset Road. We're going to be broadcasting live there. Free appetizers and drinks. We'll be there from 5 to 8 p.m. Come by, say hello. Even if you don't want to be on the radio, we'd love to see you. We'd love to meet you. Even if you're one of those people that I've called a name, I still want to meet you. I still want to say hello, if that makes sense. Anyway, joining us in studio. It's always fun having this guy, and he's been chomping at the bits. He just can't wait to talk. It's all about him. I'm just kidding. It is Dennis Silvers, the golf guru himself. I played 18 holes with him yesterday, and what better person to have on than talk a little U.S. Open golf? Dennis, my man, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, man. I got to tell you, I've watched a lot of U.S. Opens. I love the majors anyway, but I got to say this was one of the best final rounds that I have seen played in a U.S. Open for a while.
Why do you say that? Why?
It was exciting. There were people chasing other people. Some people are knocking Pebble Beach because it gave up a good score with Gary Woodland. But I got news for you. I thought the course was absolutely fine. It was fair. You had to hit the golf shots, and a lot of people think, oh, gosh, USG is going to make it tougher. They don't want to give up, have minus 12, minus 13, be the winning score next year. And, I don't think that's the case. It was really some good golf that was played. You got to give credit to Gary Woodland. I said on the show last week that even though he hasn't won a major, you got to start sometime or another. And number two, he's obviously got the shots. But number three, and more importantly, I said he had the mental toughness and mental acuity to hold on to win this championship. And that's what he did.
Let's talk a little bit about Gary Woodland, because here's why I think Gary Woodland winning this tournament, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this. I actually think Gary Woodland winning this is better than if Brooks Koepka won. And I know Koepka would have been 3 U.S. Opens in a row. I know he's probably the best player in the world right now.
Unbelievable.
I get it. But, Brooks Koepka does not have a personality. He just doesn't. Just doesn't. Now, I'm not saying Gary Woodland is going to get up on stage and do 30 minutes of stand-up either.
No.
But here's what I will say about Gary Woodland. He seems like not to say that Brooks Koepka is a bad guy.
No.
But Woodland has done so many good things in his life. First of all, I like his story. Let's talk about it. He played college basketball for Washburn. Okay. Golf was not his number one sport. Basketball was.
Yeah. I
find that to be fascinating, number one. Number two, that video he did with that young lady, special needs.
Right.
It got me emotional watching that. It was the Waste Management Golf Tournament where he plays a hole with this young lady.
She was good.
Yeah,
she was fabulous.
She was really good.
But even before,
fabulous.
But even before Woodland won the U.S. Open, he was talking about that video, and it's a viral video. It's got millions of views.
Oh yeah.
You know why he won, right? Because of his shoes.
He had the red, white, and blue.
He had the red, white, and blue U.S. Open shoes. Those were great shoes.
They were cool.
But all
Very
seriousness,
cool.
I thought the way he handled that, it was so classy and so amazing. I mean, you got Matt Kuchar, who was in that group, who just shakes her hand and does nothing else. He's giving her hugs. He's giving her high fives.
Yeah.
He said that he used her as motivation. I love that story. And this guy has been through some difficult times. He lost he lost one of his children.
Yeah.
He seems to be a great father, a great husband. He just seems like a good dude, the kind of guy you just want to grab a beer with.
And he's extremely well liked on tour by all the players.
He seems like a great guy.
Yeah, so he's a
Can't
regular
say that about
Joe.
Brooks Koepka.
No.
A lot of guys don't like him. I shouldn't say a lot, but there are some players that do not like Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
No personality.
But like it or not, Brooks Koepka is the best golfer in the world.
No question.
To come in second, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a great run.
If that
Here's the difference,
240-yard 3-iron doesn't go over the green, he might.
But here's the
got
difference:
on that
you
hole.
play with Gary Woodland, you birdie 3 or 4 holes in a row. Woodland's going to give you a high five, say great birdie, great birdie. You play with Brooks Koepka on a Sunday afternoon, he ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's the kind of guy. Justin Rose, another great guy, who gave him a high five. So let's talk about a few of the shots down the stretch that Woodland hit that I thought were phenomenal. Okay, first of all, I thought that 3-wood he hit setting up birdie to give him a 2-shot lead was unbelievable. He hit a wedge shot on 17 to preserve his lead under pressure, which was
off the green. You got to mention
that shot. People don't realize. They think just because it's a good lie and you're on the green. And by the way, if you don't know what we're talking about, he has a 2-shot lead. He hits a shot, probably an 80-foot putt. He decides not to putt it. He decides to take out his sand wedge and chip it off the green. The reason why that is so difficult is because hitting it off of the green and hitting it off a fairway, completely different feel.
Totally.
It's very difficult, and he just knocks it, stiffs it close, makes his par. I thought under pressure, that shot was unbelievable.
The thing with that shot is if it missed at all, he was picking up at least a stroke.
Absolutely, and then you have a one-shot league on 18. We're talking about a completely different circumstance.
It could have gone short and rolled down the hill, or it could have gone long and rolled off the green.
Regardless, you still have on 18 at Pebble Beach, you still have it's a tough drive. You got to hit the ball straight. He hits a safe drive. He hits a safe second shot. So, he hits it on the green in 3. You say to yourself, okay, the tourment's over. And then he knocks in a 30-foot putt. You want to talk about an exclamation point.
Banged it home.
His mental, his course management, his mental acuity for all of that tournament was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't say enough.
So, Dennis, here's a question then we can pose, right? It's an opportunity, right? Is this a springboard? We all can talk about all the great players in the game today. And we need to think about every time that big tournaments come up, Gary Woodland's name's got to be at the top of the list, right?
Chris, I think so because,
yes and no.
He's been in the hunt on several other majors, just hasn't gotten across the finish line. But now that you've got one under your belt, you look at the tournament, you look at the majors, totally different. Totally different.
I disagree a little bit if it's a really long golf course. He hits the ball long, but he does not hit the ball like I'd say 20 or 30 other guys on tour. He's not hitting it 350.
I'll tell you this.
He's not one of the longer hitters. He hits it long, but not one of the top 10 longest hitters on tour.
He is 50-1 to win the British Open for a reason. Or the Open for a reason.
Well, I think Koepka has to be the favorite, and the reason why is because...
But 50-1?
That's a little ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. And the reason that he's not up, and I knew he wouldn't be listed in the top 10, is because, let's face it, the Open is totally a different kind of golf than the U.S. Open.
One of my favorite moments at the U.S. Open, besides when he hugged his dad on Father's Day, I thought that was a special moment.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from Woodland, but over the weekend, Matt Kuchar was being heckled, which I think he totally deserved. On Saturday, people were calling him cheapskate.
Right.
Of course, Baba Booey was a very favorite word used over the weekend. I laughed every single time I heard it. We did hear mashed potatoes a couple times, but I loved the fact that people were going after Matt Kuchar because I hope he never lives to the end of that caddy tipping scandal because he is a cheapskate. I thought the crowd for the most part was pretty good. Let's talk a little bit about some of the big names. Of course, when Brooks Koepka's trailing right behind you, of course, you got to give this guy even more credit, Woodland, for winning this thing. But let's go down the list here. A lot of people seem to think that this was Phil Mickelson's last chance to win a U.S. Open. The guy had a horrible day on Sunday, but yet he was still tipping his cat and smiling like he shot a 60. What do you make of Phil Mickelson's performance?
His birthday, he just turned 49. And, majors are going to be far and few between,
right?
Even though he's still
agree.
He's still very competitive. But, I mean, he's just running out of daylight, really.
I agree. So you agree that, this was probably his last legitimate chance to maybe win at Pebble.
Or damn close to it. And as far as the giggles and the laughs and this and that, to me, Phil Mickelson is just one phony dude.
Yeah, he's a phony guy.
Put the camera on, he's giggles, he's laughed. Take the camera off, totally different kind of person.
Agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods got a T21. He just looked sad the whole tournament. I mean, there was
no strip clubs next to Pebble Beach.
Yeah,
That's probably
there was no happiness and this and that and the other. And some people speculate, he did have surgery, cold weather, and this and that. That wasn't it. Tiger just, as I posted today, and I got a lot of flack for it. Tiger's just turned into another regular PGA Tour professional. He says he's.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. He just won the Masters.
That was an aberration. That was an aberration. I'm telling you. That was an aberration because everybody that was close behind him, fell on their ass. But he announced he thinks he's taking the whole month off to get ready for the last major of the year for the Open.
And what? I think that Tiger Woods actually played pretty well. He just got kind of unlucky.
He had a nice day on Sunday.
He had a very nice day on Sunday.
He had a lot of putts just barely missed.
Yeah.
He had a lot of shots that they were just barely short.
I mean, that's golf.
I think he's going to play the Open really well.
I don't know. We'll have to.
If there's any kind of weather there at all, and it's very likely there will be, JD, forget him.
All right, so I I want to
Stick a
share.
fork in 'em.
I want to share a golf gambling story that
Okay.
I have been heated for the last 24 hours on this, and I want to get your opinion on it. JD is a part of this as well. We'll explain, and I want to get Chris. Chris throws a few bets down now and then, so I know he'll have an opinion on this as well. So I'm hanging out with a friend of mine, Larry, over at the Westgate last night.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there and we're watching the U.S. Open. And I've got some wagers on it, and they have in-game wagering. For those of you that don't know, you can bet on a major golf tournament or sometimes other tournaments in the middle of the round.
Right.
So I have a phone app, and I notice on my phone app it says the Open 2019. And I noticed they did have in-game wagering, so I know they had it. So I go on my phone and I look. And again, it says the Open 2019. I'm like, oh my God, you could get Brooks Koepka at 6-1 right now. And this is when Koepka was maybe 2 or 3 down, so it seemed believable. And then I place a bet on that. Then I place a bet on Justin Rose, who I believe was 14-1. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, Rose is only 2 or 3 shots back. What value? I looked at the Woodland odds, and it was 60-1. And I said, are you effing kidding me? So I put a couple $100 down on that. And I'm like, this is unreal. This is almost too good to be true. Maybe there's a chance that they I thought maybe there's a chance they screwed up with the odds. So then I wait about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm thinking to myself, this has to be a mistake, right? I go back on my phone, and then I talk to the sportsbook manager, and they said, no, that's for the British Open. So I had already placed my bets. I placed my bets for somebody else. I placed my bets for myself. So I said, oh, okay.
Right.
No big deal, right? It was a mistake. Could you just void those bets for me? Because every other app that I've ever bet on, they let you void your bets so long as the odds haven't changed, which they didn't. This is 2 months away. And I'm told by one of the directors there, nope, sorry, bet's a bet. We can't refund your money on the app. I said, well, wait a second. You're telling me if I press the wrong button and I bet 10,000, for example, on the wrong game, or I bet the over instead of the under, you're telling me I can't call you or I can't go and say, hey, please void my bet? No, sir, we can't. And I spoke to them today, and I learned that there's at least a dozen other people that had the same issue that I had.
Yeah.
JD, help me on this.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Sometimes sportsbooks make mistakes, especially on apps. I've had situations where I've gotten odds, just ridiculous odds on plays, and so I looked at the odds. I was going to take Woodland up. I think he was plus 250 at the time on the in progress wagering, but that wasn't actually available when I saw the Open outright. I thought it was the exact same thing. I didn't realize that it was actually the British Open and they should have listed it as the British Open,
right?
Because we wouldn't have bet it otherwise. But it said the Open outrights 2019. Right. I'm thinking to myself, okay, Gary Woodland 60-1. I'm gonna put $500 on this and walk away with $30K.
Right.
So I made 3 or 4 different bets of 150 or 125 apiece, and then I realized, oh my God, this is for the British Open.
But it didn't say the British Open.
Of course,
and I know
it didn't say it was very deceptive in the way that it was proposed.
Right.
But nobody calls it the British Open anymore. It's the Open. It's
right.
Open
Right.
It's
And that's
either
fine.
the Open or the Open Championship.
But
Nobody
here's
calls
the
it
thing.
the British Open.
Here's the thing. They posted those odds on Sunday afternoon during the U.S. Open while they have U.S. Open in-game live wagering.
I understand.
That is very, in my opinion, very deceitful.
Well, it's misleading.
Misleading is the word I would use. Correct. All they had to do was post that when the U.S. Open was over.
Well, and it's not like we're small players.
No.
You know, I bet 7
bet
figures
large amounts of
plus
money
a year with this particular book.
Chris, you're again. What do you think about this,
But
Chris?
guys, let's get to the root of the problem, okay? It's not about discussing, what it's called or what you can do. Here's the thing, okay? The event hasn't even taken place yet. We are still weeks out, right, from the Open.
Right.
So I don't understand why a business would conduct themselves in a way where we're going to tell you, no, we can't absolutely do that, when it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever that you can't just refund or cancel those bets. Why not?
I agree.
And I called them today, and I sent Brian. He actually went in and talked in person, but I had a conversation, and he said, "Well, we didn't make any mistakes. We didn't, we didn't do anything wrong." I said, "That's not the point. Right. The point is, I don't want my money on this particular play." Now I said, "Hey, how about I take this money and I move it on to somebody else?" And they said, "No, this bet is absolutely locked in.
And I don't want to be over dramatic, but it's not. It's just not right.
Makes no
it's
sense.
almost like it's a money grab, right?
It's
almost as if you're hijacking somebody's money.
Chris, whose call is that? Is it the sportsbook director? Is it his call?
Look, I texted. Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that. I texted Jay Kornegay. I had no problem. Jay Kornegay has been great to me. He's come on the show before. Let me be very clear here. I love the sportsbook there. I've never had an issue there, ever. Well, I had an issue one time because they only let me bet a certain amount of money on in-game wagering, which I don't like, and I can explain that later. But I've never had any big issues there ever. I love the Superbook. I love watching football there. Love the steakhouse. What I'm trying to say is I like it there. Yeah. I've never had an issue there. This is the first real bone to pick. And Jay Kornegay's not there. I wasn't able to speak with him. I think he's somewhere. I think he texted me he's on vacation or something. So I spoke to another manager there. And JD, I think you got a very similar response. The first thing they said to me was, well, you're trying to angle shoot us. And I said, excuse me, because I saw a bet where I thought the odds were great in my favor. You're the one who put the bet up. I thought I was making a great bet.
And the guy that I talked to on the phone was not nice about it. He said, "Hey, so you're trying to put one over on us." I said, "No, I'm wagering what's in front of me."
Right.
And sportsbooks make mistake all the time.
And that's not our responsibility. By the way, who are the real? I'm not just talking about the Westgate. Let's just talk in general terms here. Who are the real angle shooters here? Oh, something called -110, something called juice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're betting on a dog that's 2-1, guess what? You can't go the other way and bet -200. In fact, the other way is probably going to be -250, depending on which sports we go to. So who is really the angle shooter here?
That's
okay,
true.
Stop it. The bottom line is the book always has an advantage on you, always. Okay? So stop it with angle shooting. If you make a mistake and you put bets up that we think we could take advantage of, then that's your fault, not our fault. And the other way around, if a bettor makes a mistake and they're not actually trying to angle shoot you, and it's just maybe a button they're pressed or maybe what the situation we're talking about where we think we're betting on something else, just refund the money and stop it.
What if I want to make a $500 bet and instead of pressing the 0 twice, I press it 3 times, I'm suddenly betting $5,000?
Yeah, and they can't void the bet?
Of course they can.
Why?
Of course. If an app can pay out a bet, they can void a bet. Bottom line.
Look, William Hill has a very specific policy, which, by the way, I agree with. They say, listen, we will refund your bet. Call us soon after as long as the odds haven't changed.
Exactly.
Now, why do they say that? Because you can make a big bet, the odds change, and then you can go the other way. That's how you that is an angle shot.
Right.
But William Hill makes it very clear. They would have refunded my ticket if that happened. I would have called them up. They would have refunded me. Same thing with station casinos. There's many apps that I bet on where I actually have made mistakes. We all make mistakes with bets. It happens all the time, right? So now we have these bets where we're locked in and we're forced. And I'm just going to call it for what it is. I think they're making a very big mistake. I think it's a bad business decision.
It's a bad business.
It's a bad look for
policy. It's bad PR, and I know about. All right, so let's talk about Royal Portrush in the Open. Ireland, gotta like a guy like Rory.
But Rory hasn't really been playing very well.
He
played
a very
okay.
decent showing Sunday.
He played well in the Open.
He didn't make a damn putt.
He played well in the Open.
He did make a damn putt.
He did. But
1 or 2.
Do you think he can get over the hump? When was his last major? What was the last major he won?
It wasn't.
It's been a little while, hasn't it?
The last one that
Don't ask me. I'm not the golf guru.
Wait a minute. I'm shaking my brain here. The last one that he won.
I don't know.
I thought he won the Players' Championship.
That's possible.
But that's not a major though.
The PGA.
They call that the 5th major, which is BS. I think it's the Open.
I think it paid out
US
like
Open.
$1.8 million.
2000 and when?
Chris is gonna.
I'm checking it right now.
This is my sad guy.
Look, I don't think it's a bad pick. I'm just saying that I'm not going to. I would take Brooks Koepka over this guy. Koepka's hits the ball a mile. So does Rory.
2014 Open Championship.
The Open,
the
Open.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you look at the British Open. You hit the ball a long way. That's certainly going to help in the British, right? And Brooks Koepka hits it longer than anybody. So does Rory, by the way. Rory hits the ball a mile.
Yeah, but so does.
You have to be creative.
So
around
does
the
Gary
greens.
Woodland.
Sure.
Yeah.
You have to be
Kills
creative.
those irons, can hit, a bump and run, putted outstanding. He could keep it on the ground. He's got to move up. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Links golf is just a different. It's just a different.
Totally, it's night and day.
Different game.
It's night and day.
What about a guy like Xander Schauffele? He finished 3rd at the Open, or at the U.S. Open.
I don't know if he seriously would be used to playing this kind of golf because it is so different, JD. It is so different. You've got to keep the ball on the ground.
And what separates this kind of golf?
Humps. It's links golf. Humps and bumps. Greens are a little bit different.
Greens are a lot different.
The hazards are totally different.
The bunkers.
And the bunkers, and
the
if
weather.
you get the weather,
Yeah.
right? If you get weather there, look out.
What about a guy like a Dustin Johnson? He
Look
finished
out.
second, of course, at
He's
the
my
Masters.
second
He
pick.
finished second, actually, in 2011 in the
Brooks
Open Championship.
Brooks Koepka is my first pick. Dustin Johnson, my second pick. Why? Because those two guys hit the ball longer than anybody. Nothing against Rory. Those two guys are even a little bit longer. I think with Dustin, it's always about his short game. The amazing thing, this is the thing that amazes me about Brooks Koepka. It's not just how far he hits the ball, how good his putting and his short game is.
It's
how his
tremendously
consistency
improved, yeah.
in majors
Tremendously, yeah.
is incredible to me. That's the
Yeah.
only thing about Dustin that worries me a little bit is you have to be creative around the greens.
Absolutely.
But I think Koepka, rightfully so, has to be the favorite.
Yeah.
And Rory's right there with him. There's no
Well,
question.
you know, the big advantage that DJ has, let's face it, he's got Paulina. I mean, come on.
Okay, I'm going to say this right now. I would not be surprised if Tiger Woods missed the cut. And the reason why I say that is because the last cut he missed in the major was when he took a month off. Now he says he's taking another month off. I think that's a bad decision. He doesn't play well in bad weather. I'm betting against Tiger everywhere in that tournament. I just don't think he's going to play well.
I agree.
I don't think he's a links golfer and play well. But anyway, I wanted to, going back to what we talked about with the bets that we put in and that's so on and so forth. What do you think about that, Dennis? Do you think that they should give us a refund on that, the golf bets that we made, thinking that it was the U.S. Open and not the British Open?
They got to make it right. They got to make it right.
Mm-hmm.
I think what
They
we
have
should.
to.
I think
I
we
should say they have to. They should.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do. Absolutely.
And here's the thing. It's not like it's just you and JD,
No,
Brian. There's
yeah,
a number of other people that made
and-
the same
and
mistake,
is-
and it's something you can easily make, and it's something that could be easily corrected,
JD,
which is
Is
baffling
that
to
gonna,
me.
is that going to change your life
Yeah.
if they give you your money back?
It's not going to
No.
change my life, but it might change the way I feel about that place.
No.
JD, how many people did they tell you that a lot of other people made the same
said,
mistake?
you know, he said we'd have to pay back everybody else. I said, so how many people actually made this mistake? Was it 50? Was it 100? He goes, oh, way less than that. So it made it sound like
Wow.
if you're betting in progress wagering like we were, because that means you're watching your phone,
Yeah,
you're watching
right.
the TV at the
Right.
same time. I mean that's like being in the trenches. It really is. Like you're going
Not
back
only-
and forth, you're moving money.
You're right.
I think that there was at least 25 or 30 that did it. Here's what I want to do, Brian. I want to get Nick Bogdanovich on the show. He's never been on the show before, and I want to ask him what he would do in that situation.
I can tell you what he was going to say. He would say, as long as the odds didn't change, we would gladly refund your money. That's exactly what he would say.
I would like to hear that from his mouth.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty confident that that's what he would say because they have a policy, whether it's the app
Yeah.
or a live ticket that you're holding, they do refund your ticket so long as you do it quickly and you call quickly and they don't think you're trying to angle shoot them. And I don't consider it an angle shoot when you see a bet up there that you think is the U.S. Open and you think the odds are ridiculous and you bet on it.
It is misleading, and I want to state right now in front of Chris and JD, I'm going to bet you $100 right now. Brooks Koepka won't come close to winning the Open Championship.
Why do you say that?
He just won't.
Why do you say that?
Well, if you're so damn confident, let me see the 100.
I already bet on
let-
it.
He
I
wants
already
to see
got money.
He wants a C note out in
I
studio
mean,
on the counter.
On the Open. I'm betting you that $100 that he is not going to win.
What odds are you going to give me on that? That's ridiculous.
What do you mean odds?
What's the
It's
yes and
straight
what's
up,
the no?
Straight up.
So you think I'm dumb enough to get even money on Brooks Koepka to win the British Open? Do you think I'm insane?
What kind of odds would you like?
Give me
Listen to
20 to
this.
1.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Come
Lord.
on, 4 to 1.
No way. I could
Oh,
get better
my
at a book.
God.
What odds are you going to give me?
I got to think about that, but I'm telling
Well,
you, he's
if
not
you-
going to win.
Well, don't think too hard. You think I want to bet even money to pick one golfer? Give me. I'll tell you what. Give me five golfers.
You said
at
not
money.
even close. How about this? How about top 10 even money?
That's fair.
Would you do top 10 even money?
I'll tell you what. Give me 5 golfers, and it pays even. Give me 5 names, and I will take even money. 5 golfers.
Don't
give
fall
me,
into that trap.
Give
It's
me
too good.
5 golfers.
He's a good handicapper when it comes
I
to
know.
golf. Take the top 10.
I know.
No, I don't like the top 10 at even money. I need 2 to 1.
This
Give me
is my,
5
this is my
golfers.
What I
friend.
want to know
This
is
my
what are the odds?
golfing
What are the
friend.
odds on John Daly winning the Open
Yes,
Championship?
Is
good
Daly-
That's what I want to
question.
know.
He's
Good
playing, right?
question.
Absolutely, probably is playing, right? Doesn't he?
1,000 to 1.
What's the situation, Dennis, when it comes to exemptions with players who have
Well,
actually
he
won the
won-
tournament? Right?
He gets a lifetime, doesn't
He
he?
gets a
with the
lifetime.
British?
No, he's He's actually only. Oh no, he's 2001.
I said 1,000.
2001.
Just 2001?
2001.
Should be 10,000.
Oh, my gosh.
Next to Mark Calcavecchia and David Duval.
Calcavecchia,
my
former British Open champion, and I don't know why
Now, what
Duval
about
is playing. He's not even going to break 80.
They're going to give a special exemption to Darren Clark, too, for crying out loud.
All right, so another Irishman, Graham McDowell. How about him?
Well,
He's playing well.
A good
Yeah. -6.
He's playing well.
He's playing very well.
I mean, he's a good player. He's starting to play better. When
he's
we saw
playing very well.
We saw, and by the way, U.S. Open champion did play here at the Shriners, and so did a lot of these guys that were in contention at the Open were playing in the Shriners.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, Dennis, there's a player that I noticed. His name is Victor Hovland. He finished -4. He turns pro next week.
Right.
He went to Clemson, didn't he?
Kid from Amsterdam, Dutch kid. His game, he looks like a real up and comer to me.
Well, you don't become the U.S. amateur champion if you don't have game. I do too. He looks so seasoned out there. It was ridiculous, and I agree with you. He's an up and comer.
How old is he? He's pretty young.
He's got to be in his 20, 21.
Oh, he's got to be 22. Yeah, 21, 22,
No, it was
23.
cool.
But I think he's a name to watch moving forward.
I agree with you.
I think that kid Wu, another great amateur that's up and coming. There's a lot of good young players that are coming through, but I think what golf needs more than anything besides guys that can put up mid-60s are guys that have personalities. We need personalities around the game. We'll probably never see another John Daly in our lifetime, but we need guys, even a Jordan.
You're telling me Tiger doesn't have a personality?
I like it when Jordan Spieth yells at his caddy. I think that's fun to watch. It hit the rake. It hit the rake. You don't see the rake. I just think that's funny. That's all. Yeah. What'd you think of that, by the way?
It was ridiculous. He got a lot of flack for that. He got hammered on social media.
He's a little bit of a crybaby.
Yeah, and he did apologize, but he got hammered for that. Come on.
I like it. One thing I like about Fox.
So hard.
Here's what I like about Fox that some of these other networks don't do when it comes to covering golf. The microphone is there. You can hear all the conversations. I like the way Fox covers the U.S. Open. I think they do the best job out of all the networks.
I'll tell you though, Brian, Joe Buck was catching a lot of heat though on social media about his commentary and handling of how the broadcast.
But they covered it from the first tee shot to the end, and you got to give them credit for that. They weren't out of their way chasing Tiger, covering him. The coverage was great.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Yeah.
I thought it was excellent.
And really all of a sudden, Joe Buck did get a lot of I like Hazinger.
Yeah, they were
tells
good.
It like it is.
They did a good job.
And what's his name? Looks like he's 100 years old all of a sudden. Who's the other guy?
I don't know who you're talking about.
They won the Open twice.
I have no idea.
But,
whoever he is, you look much older than him. I don't know who you're talking about, though.
Wow.
It was cool when Jim Nantz was on the for a second, too. He did a good job.
That was fun.
But Brian, he's refined, though. Dennis is a refined gentleman.
That's true. Dennis, I just love to give you a hard time. We had fun playing golf yesterday.
We had a great time.
Always appreciate it when you come in studio. Dennis, thank you so much. Same thing with Chris Wynn, who I heard is sticking around for another 2 hours. Also, check us out at Rodizio. That's going to be this Thursday. Rodizio Grill, 1300 West Sunset Road. We'll be there broadcasting live. We'll be there from 5 to 8. Come out, free appetizers and drinks.
I'll be there.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Of course.
They have valet there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if they
doubtful.
You lazy bastards. Anyway, we're gonna take a 22-hour break. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Ken Thompson coming up next with Chris Wynn. Have a great night, everybody.